Accucare Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine in Brick, New Jersey offers a state-of-the-art facility with all the best and current treatments. With athletic trainers, massage therapists, and doctors of physical therapy, Accucare has everything you need to stay healthy and perform at the highest level. Cupping, stretching, laser therapy, compression boots, and a full-body cryo chamber are just some of what you can expect at Accucare. Check out their website and social media links in my bio. No prescription is needed to see them. So call them today and start feeling and performing at your best. Again, thank you to Accucare for sponsoring the Shore Football Report. Just got two things to say right now. First, I want to thank Accucare. They are awesome, our great sponsor. Get there. If you haven't been there yet, make an appointment, get to Accucare, especially towards the end of the season when your body needs to get that extra push and be healthy on the football field. Rehabilitation, recovery, they are the best. Make an appointment, call them and tell them you're coming. All right. The Shore Football Report is definitely endorsing going to Accucare. They're the best out there right now. And they have athletes going there around the clock, all sports, and that's that. And also, when you're transitioning to another sport, your body is gonna be needing this Accucare treatment because you're using different body parts. So just make sure that you utilize Accucare, located in Brick. They are the best. I love being associated with them. They are part of the team, the Shore Football Report team. All right. The other thing I want to say is this: subscribe to the Shore Football Report YouTube channel. Every one of you, when you watch it, click subscribe. It's free. It's free. Turn the notifications off if you don't want to hear it, but subscribe. By you subscribing, says thank you. I need 1,000. I want 1,000 subscribers. Please, 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 please subscribe. Scott Stump says I don't say it enough on our show. That's why we don't got 1,000 subscribers. But subscribe. All joking aside, it's the cool thing to do. All right. Join the Shore Football Report team. We got so many things that are going to be going on our YouTube channel, not just our talk shows. We're going to have extensive all-star team coverage that we're going to do. Also, yes, you've been asking, the Stumpy Awards, they're coming back. The Stumpy Awards are coming back from 8 years ago, and I know you guys are going to love it. So we're going to have all my all-star teams, all county, all shore, all division, my rankings of players, because I changed things up and seeing how guys are playing, adding the freshmen, the 2026s are going to be included in that rankings too. It's a lot of stuff, all going to be on our YouTube, the Shore Football Report YouTube. Subscribe. You won't want to miss it. In the off season, I'll be doing things around the clock for recruiting, talking with college coaches and coaches from all over the country will be on my talk shows throughout the off season. There's no off in my season. All right. Subscribe to the Shore Football Report. And also, more importantly, make an appointment to Accucare.
We finished with all the turkey, Rob, and now it's time for history. A momentous weekend coming up across New Jersey for all of New Jersey high school football, particularly for two Shore Conference teams. The first public group championships in New Jersey history. It's the first year. We did have 3 Thanksgiving games. a couple teams still going strong with their traditions. You were at one of them.
Yeah.
Great game, too. Long Branch 35-28 over Red Bank Regional. I know these are a dying breed, and there's only a handful of them left, but they're still great atmospheres, right?
Yeah, but there's nothing better than going to a Thanksgiving Day game and holding off the arguments from your wife, because she doesn't believe in going out to watch a football game when they're preparing their meals. But yeah, 99th annual Thanksgiving Day game I went to see Long Branch and Red Bank, and it was a great atmosphere. It really was. And they're looking forward to the great 100th one, which I think that Tom River South Lakewood did, was it last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah, a couple years. I think they made it over 100 before they ended up discontinuing it. Yeah, that's an amazing rivalry. And, you got an up-and-coming Red Bank Regional program, an established Long Branch program. And then in the other games, you had Middletown South continues to have the upper hand in their Thanksgiving rivalry with Middletown North, as well as Manasquan with a nice 28-14 win over a Wall team that had won 4 in a row. Manasquan jumped all over them right from the beginning, got the win there. And the big game of the weekend, unfortunately, it was a tough ending for one of the Shore Conference's top programs. RBC falls by 2 points, 19-17 to DePaul in the non-public B championship game. I feel like it showed the razor-thin margin between winning a state championship and finishing in second.
People were messaging me, how could you even think that Red Bank Catholic will lose to DePaul? They have 5 losses. Oh, they're a good football program that plays some pretty good competition, DePaul. DePaul was very, very quick. Their D-line, I was very impressed with. They were giving Red Bank Catholic some fits on dropbacks, a passing with Frankie Williams, and he just kept missing. Some huge plays, a.k.a. Zach Wilson a little bit with that, missing plays at MetLife Stadium. But they were this close to maybe making one of those plays into a touchdown and winning. So, a block punt that went into the end zone eventually looked like that was a key play, losing 19-17.
Yeah, I thought RBC had them down 10-0 early, and DePaul rallied back to get it tied by the halftime. I thought that was big for them. And yeah, when they got RBC in obvious passing downs, they were really able to get after Frankie Williams. I felt like a lot of those plays, he just didn't have a lot of time. And, you have an Emmanuel Ross, you have somebody like that getting open deep downfield, but those routes take some time to develop. Yeah. And then also, it came down, I thought, a lot of both teams took some deep shots. DePaul hit one more than RBC did. And that, to me, felt like the difference in that game because, the running games were okay for either team, but never really did anything spectacular. It was big plays. It was Zamet hitting Desi Jones for what was like a 60-yard touchdown for DePaul. That was a big throw. Just a frustrating game for RBC when they were trying to win the back-to-back titles for the first time. Tough ending, but another excellent season for them. And DePaul, like we've said, is a good program. Schedules in the state, so they're ready for a game like that.
Red Bank Catholic needs their run game and pass game to work together with their RPOs. When Frankie's reading it and then throwing it, he's as good as anybody. But when he's dropping back on a pure 5-step drop pass, that's not his strength. And I don't think that's Red Bank Catholic's strength. And they weren't able to get a good look and a good throw during the game, just missing Emmanuel Ross on the sideline, which he had him beat by 3 steps. He overthrew him, but the timing was off. And that's a credit to their defense, too, because they were doing a good job. Maybe they were disguising coverages. We don't know. We couldn't see that. But, it was a tough game, and it's tough to beat a team twice 2 years in a row. And DePaul and them have a little rivalry.
What my takeaway, too, is that a real rivalry is now burgeoning between these two programs. You could easily see them a third time in a row next year going head-to-head for a state title. So I think in the non-public B bracket, this is starting to become like the rivalry to watch year after year. And now, as far as what we still have ahead of us, still 2 Shore Conference teams bidding for history. We'll get to those breakdowns of each of those games coming up, but I can't wait. For years, we wanted these group championship games. We wanted to find out North Jersey, versus Central or South Jersey. Who is really better when it all comes down?
Unique matchups. You got Caldwell coming in with a 27-game winning streak against Rumson, who's our pride of our short conference. And, they're a body of consistency. What, 8 championships, 8 finals in the last 10 years? I think that's what you said, right? And Toms River North, that we're debating this might be the best team ever in the short conference, going against a Passaic County Tech team that's pretty stingy on defense. And we'll talk a little bit more about them in a second.
This one is huge. The biggest public schools in New Jersey. There's only 2 left standing. One of them is the Shore Conference's own Toms River North, undefeated. First Shore Conference team to ever be 13-0. State record for the most points in a season already, with still one more game to play. They're going to face off against Passaic Tech, which is 11-2. Tough program. And I love this matchup because it's the unstoppable force against the immovable object. The unstoppable offense of Toms River North against a defense that has been one of the stingiest in the state, has only allowed 79 points the whole season, 6.1 points a game against a team that averages more than 40 points a game and has basically lit up everybody they played this year. I mean, this is to me is what you hope for in a state championship matchup.
Yeah, they haven't given up more than 2 touchdowns in a game. And Toms River North scores 2 touchdowns within the first 5 minutes of every game. So something's got to give. Something's got to give. So I know North has got a lot of respect for Passaic County Tech, and I'm sure Passaic County Tech is doing it the same way too. But this is a real fun matchup to see the high-power offense versus a real stingy defense this Sunday.
And both teams are going to be running the ball a lot. Passaic Tech only attempted 3 passes in their semifinal win, 21-7 over West Orange. Part of that was because it was a crazy wind that day, so the teams weren't throwing as much. But still, their junior running back, Treshawn Dye, 209 yards rushing in that game. They were actually losing 7-6 at halftime, came back and won 21-7. Their 2 big players are twin brothers, Treshawn Dye and Trayvon Dye. They're kind of the engine of that team. They've been the stars all year for them. Trayshawn just had the huge game in the semifinals. He's got an offer from Syracuse. They've got, those 2 are the big spotlight is going to be on them. Their quarterback, Markeo Taylor, actually didn't even start. He wasn't the starter until the playoffs began. So he's done a real nice job sliding into that starting spot. But yes, those 2 twins are going to be guys running the ball a ton. On defense, they're leaders on the defense. Jordan Alston is another one to watch, has 108 tackles for that defense. But yeah, they have one other threat offensively. That's Kashmir Jones, who's kind of a rushing and receiving threat. So you have the 2 twins and him. Those are the guys you're going to have to, that Toms River North is going to have to try to slow down a little bit. But the Dye brothers, they lead that offense, and it's going to be their speed at linebacker against the Toms River North front and the speed of Micah Ford and Josh Moore and all those guys.
Very interesting matchup. And we've been very fortunate to see some domination with the O-line. And don't forget, their defense isn't that bad either, Toms River North. They've been setting up the offense with some pretty good field position. They've been playing great defense in the playoffs. But, yeah, Micah Ford, I think he needs 140 more yards. He'll be the leading rusher in the state of New Jersey. He's got just under 2,300 yards and one of the most dynamic football players out there. And he's back next year too. But enough about next year. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting. If North can't, and you said this before, if North has to pass the football, they haven't done that. They've never been forced to do something they didn't want to do all year. If this team can stop the run, I'm curious what Coach Oz and the offense has in their bag of tricks.
Yeah, it's one of those theoretical things because no one's actually been able to stop the run the whole year. But clearly, Passaic Tech has great speed at linebacker. It's not going to be Micah Ford is one of the most explosive players in the state. But this is not a team that's easy to run away from where, like, if you miss one tackle, a guy can't run you down from behind. They have that kind of speed. I think it's going to be huge for Toms River North's line to get to the second level and try to get a body on the Dye brothers and on those linebackers to spring some bigger plays. They have shown, though, if they have to grind it out and get 4 yards at a time, they can do that. But you're right. If it's a game where Michael Ford has 20-plus pass attempts, most likely that's not a good thing for Toms River North.
No, that's not their style of play at all. But yeah, I'm real curious about, again, now from if Passaic Tech puts up 3 touchdowns, is that going to be a good? What do you think the most points they need to feel comfortable to be the game?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think it's the thought of holding Toms River North under 20 points would be like an all-time great defensive performance. And that's why I love these group finals, because you're like, these teams have both played totally different schedules. We don't really know. It's hard to just completely, look at common opponents or anything like you can do when Central plays South Jersey. There's none of that here. So, I think that, they're going to, I would think Passaic Tech is going to have to get at least 20 points to have a shot in this game. I mean, to ask them to hold that North offense under 20. And the other thing is Passaic Tech has struggled to score there at times against tough opponents. I mean, they've blown out some lesser teams this year, but the other thing about them is they're pretty one-dimensional. They're just going to line up. They got multiple guys who can run the ball and hurt you, so it's hard to focus on maybe just one person. But you don't really have to worry a huge amount about getting burned by them in the pass game. Their quarterback, he probably throws for like 100 yards a game, if that. So, what you want to do with them, certainly. The thing Passaic Tech is going to want to do the most is control the clock, right? They want to get the ball and sit on it for like 7 minutes and slowly go down the field.
The best defense.
Because the more possessions Toms River North has, the more chances that you miss a tackle, that Council gets open, that Pruitt gets open, that Moore breaks one, and you're going to give up points. So you want to limit their total amount of possessions. And conversely, if you're North and you come out like you've been doing and you just blitz them from the outset and it's 21-0 in the blink of an eye, they might be done. That's like they might not have the offense to come back from that. So I think getting a big start and a fast start up at Rutgers on Sunday is going to be key for Toms River North.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, an early lead with this, but this is such a great buildup because for years, my North Jersey friends would kind of rib me a little bit. You don't play good football in South, and we would say the same thing there. It's different kind of football, and they would talk about what kind of athletes go to colleges from North Jersey. We don't hear it from here, or vice versa. So there's a lot of bragging rights from a lot of communities too. Friends too doing the same thing. This is a North Jersey versus a South Jersey playing for the right to win a Group 5 championship.
Well, and the other thing I like is I've always thought for years, the coaching in the Shore Conference is the best in the state. That like when we're undermanned athletically, a lot of times our coaches have out-schemed and outsmarted coaches who have more talent. So it's like, that's why I also like matching wits of like, who's the better coaching staff in these teams, this kind of matchup. In other words, is their D coordinators trying to scheme how to stop the best offense in New Jersey, or this side of Bergen Catholic. And then, Toms River North is trying to figure out how to solve a defense that no team on their schedule has solved all year. So I like that kind of chess match going on.
I think
the one other thing is we've talked about it at times this year, right? That Toms River North has gotten sloppy with penalties and kind of like shot themselves in the foot here and there. This is a game where I think you really got to cut all that out. I don't know if you have that margin for error where like you have a drive killed because of a holding penalty, or you get a personal foul and you allow them to get inside the red zone. Like I think you really need to play a pretty clean game here to make sure that it's not all of a sudden tie game in the fourth quarter because you've been kind of hurting yourself more than they've been stopping.
I think with RBC losing, I think that Toms River North has their eyes going, wait, we really can prove something right now that we are not only the best team in the Shore, but also in this state too. That's what they believe. Such a big buildup. There's a lot of, inner type of goals in their heads that probably, these 15, 18-year-old kids have. But to get to this level, you're on a roll. You've won 3 playoff games, the championship, and then you won your bowl championship, the regional one, to get here, to say the least. So these teams are both good football teams. They're both sectional champions, and they won their regional championship. This is what everybody wants to see on all the groups, not
Yeah.
just this game right here.
And not only that, you look at the rankings all year, right? For Toms River North, this is your chance to say we are the #1 public school in New Jersey, period.
Yeah.
Now, Bergen Catholic blowing Don Bosco's doors off in the finals was pretty impressive. They made their case to be #1 in the whole state in that one. But this is Toms River North saying, and not only that, it's immortality. When you look back in 30 years and say, oh, when they've had the first group championships, who won? And they'll say Toms River North was the best public school team in the state that year and the first shore conference team to ever go 14-0. So regardless of what happens in the coming years, they can never take that away from you. I mean, you're talking, a legendary team that will be celebrated by that school for decades to come. They'll be having reunions. You'll be out there at halftime. The players now will be coming out with their kids in 20 years, getting honored, for being 14-0. So that's the type of thing that's at stake, is immortality.
People were asking me, are you getting Coach Oz or Coach Schulte on to do for your, before their game? And I said, I don't want to do anything that's going to jinx them, because I don't want them to be like, this is a jinx. God forbid something happens. I let them go. We are not going to have anybody in our show. Do your thing. We'll talk to you afterwards. But there's, that, because I don't want to be the short football report to be blaming for a fumble or whatever. It was the darn.
I think if anything, those guys are just so focused. They're probably like, I don't have time for that right now. I'm watching film like around the clock.
Yeah,
we're practicing. Like there's time. There's no time to even be distracted by that. It's all or nothing now. And it's history. It's New Jersey history. It's not just short conference history.
What kind of crowd do you think will be
the first team to be a group?
What kind of crowd do you think will be there?
See, this is where I'm very curious, right? Because that was a big argument for years of doing these group finals. Hey, it's going to be a huge crowd because everyone's going to show up and because they finally want to see, these North Jersey facing off against the Central and South Jersey champ. Like, we finally got it. The only thing that scares me is if it's bad weather, if it's freezing or something like that. And we're in the era of the live stream where people can just watch it on their phone from the comfort of their toasty living room. So I wonder sometimes whether that kills attendance, because people that might have thought about going are like, oh, well, I'll just watch it on the phone. Like, I don't need to drive all the way up there, But I do hope that those are two really big schools, obviously. So I'm hoping that, the busloads of people are going in there, and that Rutgers is really rocking. Because that was also a part of the argument, was that, this is an event everyone's going to want to see if we finally hold it. So we're going to find out.
I don't like having it in these big venues, because it doesn't seem like a lot of people are even at the games, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I liked for years when they were doing it at TCNJ and Kane, because the stands are smaller. It's not some cavernous Big Ten football stadium.
Correct.
I know the kids love that experience of being at the stadium. But the games that I remember covering at TCNJ and at Kane, it got loud because the stands were like full and they were like rocking. So I kind of like that smaller venue because it feels like, hey, it's sold out. The stands are full. It's crazy. And whereas, even if 10,000 people show up at this game on Sunday, that's a fraction of what that stadium holds.
Yeah, and a lot of these players are now into their winter sports, 2 weeks into it, so they're not going to pick up and go. Some of these kids are now in winter season mode, so it's not like everybody's going to go there. It's going to be,
Well, but you think about it, in the past, on this weekend, this was when the sectional finals used to be held, so there were still state finals. People were making the trip. I just thought like this would be a bigger deal because this is for overall New Jersey bragging rights, not just your section. And, this is for all the people all these years from their area talking trash to the North Jersey people, saying, the football you play down there isn't.
Even the media.
Well, now we're going to find out.
Even the media in North Jersey, the media in South Jersey. We got a lot of investment in both Toms River North and Rumson. We want to toot our horn a little bit. So
absolutely. You want to say that, we play some of the best football in the state down here. So now you want to prove it.
We've been very fortunate. 3 state championship games we had short conference teams in out of the 7. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Let's win them now. Let's win them.
That's the thing. Yeah, you don't want to just get there. You got to take
No.
at least one trophy home.
And listen, both Tom Driven North and Rumson, if they don't win, it's going to sting because they believe they're good enough to win the games. Both of them do. They really do. And that says a lot about their program. They're not in it just to, everything's gravy. I've never heard the word gravy at all from either one of those coaches or players. Both programs believe they will win their game.
Now, in the other group final, we had a short conference team that enters as a huge favorite. And now here in the group 2 final, we have a short conference team that, I don't want to say slaying Goliath, but they're definitely the underdog, given that Caldwell has won 27 games in a row, which is the longest active streak in New Jersey. So it'll be Rumson, Caldwell up at Rutgers for the group 2 title on Sunday. But there's part of me that feels like Rumson probably likes this.
Well, they do.
Like this spot.
They do.
A lot of their sectional finals, they've had teams that they were told there's no way you can beat this team. They've blown out everyone they played, and they find a way to do it. So to me, this is a winnable game for Rumson. Absolutely.
Oh, they love to play that card. Yeah, that we're the underdogs. It's hard to say that because they've had the greatest run in a decade in the short conference, right? I mean, they're really putting up some state sectional championship teams or caliber teams consistently. Like, I've never seen it. Have you seen it like this before?
Yeah, their run from 2010 until now, where they've made the sectional finals, I think every year except for maybe 2 or 3. It's crazy. I mean, it's basically like we're in the sectional finals every single year. And we win it almost every single year. But now they've taken it a step further. I mean, they killed Willingboro, which was surprising. I think that was a little bit of an eye-opener. They're playing their best football at the absolute best time. I think this is a game. Their coaching staff loves this kind of challenge. They've been during this whole run. That staff's been pretty intact, other than a few. The head coach has changed a few times during this run since 2010. But a lot of the guts of that staff, like the position coaches, the coordinators, they're a lot of the same guys. They've come up with the game plans that have stopped the teams that average 40 a game or scored on the teams that don't allow any points. So they love this kind of challenge. And Caldwell is definitely a challenge too, especially because they are not a one-dimensional team. They've passed for almost 2,000 yards and they've run for 2,300. So they're a very explosive offensive team. They average 34.7 points a game and 344 yards of offense a game. So they have a bunch of their 3 big playmakers really are their quarterback is Luke Curzum. He's really good. Harry Boland is kind of their do-everything guy. He has 629 yards receiving, but also 445 rushing, 23 total touchdowns, and 69 tackles on defense. So he's one of their stars, does everything. Curzum has a 70% completion rate, 16 touchdowns, over 1,600 yards, and their running back, Joey Marinello, is a 1,000-yard rusher. So that's a lot of weapons on offense, and that's not even all of them. They also have other receivers that are dangerous. They have good linemen. Their one receiver, their senior, Lucas Latimer, he has 750 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns. So that's a lot of people to account for that Rumson defense.
But you said it. They adapt. Rumson adapted this year with John Corneliuson, the offensive coordinator. They were a run-first team through the years. But this year, he passed. And they had a quarterback controversy. I mean, they didn't know, or should I say, they didn't know who the quarterback was going to be right until the very beginning of the season. And look who they had. Owen O'Toole, sophomore. Nice surprise, right? He's going to throw for over 2,000 yards on his first pass that he completes this game. And 2 receivers, Scott Venaccio, who's really kind of the last couple of weeks has really been a touchdown machine, and Nick Rigby, the outstanding wide receiver who's leading them in receiving yardage. They're showcasing their pass game, but they surprised people the last round with their run game. I mean, they were running the football.
Yeah, I mean, the wind was a nightmare in that Willingboro game. They were able to get Alistair Orr going.
Yeah.
So that's a crucial key for them. I mean, you look at this game, and I guess we often talk about how many points are you going to need to win this one? And you're thinking, okay, can the Rumson defense hold this team to, I don't know, 21? or so? Or is Rumson, or is that offense with O'Toole and all those guys going to have to match them in like an all-out shootout where like we're going to beat them 38-35 or something like that?
They adapt. They could win any type of game, Rumson, and you know they really can. But I was so impressed with their run game last week. But then I started thinking the teams that they played all year, and then we start saying, well, they haven't had a good run game all year. Well, they played in the toughest division, the American. They've also played Tom's River North. So those are all games maybe they weren't able to run the football. But then they're playing teams their own size, and they're able to do run and pass as equal, which that makes them even more dangerous, that they can run the football along with this pass game that they had this year. So I'm excited with that. But their defense isn't bad either, Scott, with Jerry Schulte now as the D coordinator only. He's dialing up some pretty good blitzes. The freshman quarterback for Willenboro had fits with different guys coming at him, and they did a really nice job of dictating defensively too. So Rumson's clicking right now. I don't even count what their record is. 8-4. They're one of the hottest football teams.
Yeah, and I just think of over the years, right? That 2010 when they won their first one, they shocked the Mattawan team who was blowing everyone's doors off and had an incredible offense. They held them to 7 points. And a couple of years back, they beat a Wequahic team that I believe entered averaging like 45 points a game or something crazy. And they completely shut them down and beat them in a low-scoring game. Mm-hmm. So they are certainly capable of coming up with a game plan to stifle even an offense as loaded as this one is with playmakers. Granted, the running game is going to be big for Rumson, like it always is, in the sense of, again, shortening the game. The less Caldwell has the ball with all those playmakers, the better it's going to be for Rumson. So I think that is going to the run game is a key aspect. But like you said, if they have to adapt into like, look, we got to throw the ball, it's going to be an all-out like scoring fest, they can do that. They have the personnel to make that happen too.
I mean, Rumson, they've come back to win. I mean, they were losing to Raritan in the state sectional finals, so they played that role. And then the next week they played Willenboro and just came out right away and just blew them out. So they played different kind of games. I don't think there's any.
And I think that Raritan game just really planted a seed in their minds of we're never out of it. I mean, they were down 17 going into the fourth quarter. So if you can on the road at Raritan's field, so if you can rally from something like that, you have incredible belief in yourself. So even if Caldwell gets on them a little bit early, this is in no way is going to be a team that thinks like, oh, we're in trouble. They're going to be like, we did this. I think a big game, a key game for Rumson was playing Tom's River North, because you're talking about a team that has a ton of speed and a ton of playmakers, and you saw it in person. Now, granted, Tom's River North went over 40 on them, but again, Tom's River North put 40 on everybody except one.
But they scored 27 on North. They scored 27.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, they can feel good about. But I think when you're talking about that kind of speed and that, the guys all over the field who can make plays, they've seen that in person, maybe a better version of it, because of how talented North is. So I think that was crucial in the sense of, we're not going to be shocked by what they're doing or how good some of their athletes are, because we've seen the best in the state as far as public schools are concerned.
They also played Red Bank Catholic too. So they played some quality football teams where they're, I mean, if you consider these guys underdogs, that's a scary underdog, Rumson.
That's what I'm saying. This is a spot where Rumson has morphed in recent years into a favorite in the bracket all the time. They don't really get the chance to play the team that no one believes in, but now they do, just because of everything Caldwell has done and because of this winning streak and all the big numbers that Caldwell has on offense. Certainly they're going to be considered, the favorite. They're state ranked, they're undefeated. Rumson is not either of those things. So I think, they're going to go out and see if they can. And the other thing is, Caldwell, how many times have they been down? How many times have they faced a deficit? How are they going to react if Rumson jumps on them like they did on Willingboro? And I think and the other thing is, if you get ahead of them, you start taking that running game out of the equation. And at the very least, their passing game is very good and they have athletes. But if they have to pass on every down and can just unleash some of those pass rushers that Rumson has at them, that changes the whole thing too.
You were right, because I don't know if Caldwell's been has dealt with adversity. We know Rumson has throughout their season and recently in the Rivalry Games. So they've been dealing with adversity, battle tested. I mean, they're ready. I really believe they're ready for this type of game. So if they can get control of this game early, I don't know what Caldwell, how they'll react at all. Who knows?
I mean, Caldwell was in a very tight game in the semifinals. It was 13-7 against a good Westwood team that Shore Regional actually played to open the season.
Yeah.
So that was probably a good, situation for Caldwell to be in a close game for the first. They had a 3-point game with West Essex real early in the season, like their third game. But after that, they were basically blowing everyone's doors off until this semifinal game. So that probably did help Caldwell in that they were in a dogfight for the whole game. So maybe not the best for Rumson that they just were in a close game. But again, I've just seen Rumson do this time and time again, where the other team has so many flashy players and bigger names and, this recruit or that recruit, and Rumson goes out and finds a way. So I think they're a very dangerous team getting into this game, and it would be fitting for the streak that Rumson is on that they would be the first Group 2 overall champion from the Shore Conference.
So what's the title of this game, the narrative? The Streak? The Streak.
Yeah, certainly that streak is looming above everything. When Caldwell hasn't lost for multiple years, and it's the longest in New Jersey right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other team that's played better than them in the last couple of years. Yes, it would be can Rumson end this streak? And this is a great comparison of who are you getting that streak against? How good are these teams in North Jersey compared to our best team from down here? Maybe the reason Caldwell is on this great streak because they don't play RBC, they don't play Toms River North, they don't play Donovan Catholic. So we'll find out. It's like, are you on that streak because you've just been an amazing program? And they are. They've won, I think, 6 state titles heading into this season. So it's been a good program. But sometimes when you get on these streaks, people want to find out, is that just because you haven't been playing the caliber of teams we have or not? So I think that's what I love about these group finals.
Yeah.
We're going to find out who's for real and who's not.
Yeah, this is what these games are all about, comparing our product versus your product, and there'll be a lot of bragging rights for both games. Toms River North, Rumson, we wish them the best. Of course, who we're going to pick in those games. Our Shore guys with that. So excited, big game. This is what we look for. This is what the state changed everybody's schedules for these select few games. That's crazy, though. Think about it. There are teams not playing football for now 3 weeks because the season's over with. I was with Coach Rosillo, and he was so depressed. He goes, "This isn't right. I should be coaching football at this time of the year." And they're done. No Thanksgiving Day games. Their season's done. Everything was pushed back or forward, whatever, for the good of the state playoff games. And it's only a select amount of teams. I don't know if every coach likes it, but there's not a perfect science.
No, and I think that's why, and I also think that's why for years, right, that it kept coming up for a vote and getting voted down. They had to amend the NJSA's bylaws to finally play to a group title. But for years, we used to think, oh, this is a slam dunk, but it would come up for a vote, and ADs kept voting it down. So there is that side that says, why do we have to change everything for 10 teams to have games on this weekend? I get it. The season feels very abrupt for some teams. Like, all right, it's just over. And it's like barely November. That I think can be a little jarring to people.
And teams are just...
and then the other choice is just picking up a game that maybe you're like, all right, we're just going to get together and play, but nobody really cares about this.
No, people are telling me, oh, we picked up a game. We're playing here in 4 days. It was not climatic. It was crazy. It was hard to keep tabs as a media guy, who's playing, who's not, making sure that we're covering your games. I don't like it. I like to have the schedule already printed out, and we can, us media guys.
It just feels very informal. It's almost like a scrimmage where you're like, hey, let's just get together and play a game. Like, you don't even really have films. You're not scouting. You're just deciding to just slap together another game for the players.
Well, so that's how it was.
Part of it. Yeah.
Coaches just calling, hey, what are you doing next week? You want to play another game? All right, let me see who can make it. I'll get back to you in a couple minutes. Click. Yeah, it's crazy. The other crazy thing is the short conference came out with their divisions, and we'll talk about that another time. And not everybody's happy because we're changing things and this and that. And there's the short conference hasn't been stable with divisions in years, and it's crazy. It's
Right.
crazy.
Well, with 40 plus teams, there's going to be people mad no matter what the alignment is. And then, they're trying to pacify people on both ends of the argument. There's the people saying, well, these really good teams that are blowing everyone out, they should just play each other, which is how the American division gets formed.
Yeah, but Scott,
But
what?
then you have other programs saying, well, these weak divisions. I think what it did for me, is it turned certain divisions into like, who even cares? Like this is the upper echelon divisions, and these are the ones that are like, all right, that's great, but like you didn't really play anybody. So I think that part of it can be tough as far as even as a media person, right? You could go to an American division game every single week, right? Because it's always going to be a top 10 team against another top 10 team. Whereas you neglect going to a lot of these smaller school divisions because they're just kind of playing each other, and like, they're all aligned in division because they all had a bad year the last year or something like that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have a whole lot of like allure to it.
Yeah, I mean, my issue is why give out the new divisions while the season's still going on? Because now, when it came out, everybody's fighting for non-division games and calling people up, and some teams are still playing in the state playoffs. Finish the season and then worry about next season. That's my issue with that. I don't know why we do it right in the middle of the season. So if you're a coach like Oz or Coach Schulte, you're getting phone calls about scheduling for next year's games, even though you're focusing on your state championship games. It doesn't make sense. I don't know why we can't wait just one more week and then make good. That's my issue. So I apologize to those guys. Just win your state game and then worry about your non-divisions. All right, Scott? All right, we'll talk and we'll see everybody next week.